Alright.
Alright, so some of the switches that we have up front. Of course, this one's air horn. So with this off, we're just going to have a regular like truck horn. But then when I flip and turn this on, then you'll have your full air horn instead of the regular horn. Generator, we can start and stop the generator from up here. Radio power. When I have it selected to engine, then this is just like in your car or truck. On engine, then the key needs to be on for the radio to be on. Otherwise, if I flip it down to house, then I'm allowed to have this radio on while we're sitting without having to have the key on. So then you could use it when you're, parked and camping. So the radio has a USB input here so that we can feed the radio. And on the radio, I go up into the menu. Of course, here I can select AM/FM radio. Or if I have a CD in, then my disc would be there. USB would be something that we fed from here. Rear view is our camera, so if we want to be able to have that camera on while we drive, I can go ahead and turn that on, and then we could have that camera on while we're driving. Otherwise, cameras will automatically be triggered when A, I go into reverse, or B, use my turn signals. So when we hit a turn signal, then that image would come up here, or when I put it into reverse, I'll get that image as well. And then of course, there's options to go into where you can change the look of the radio and do different, colors or patterns in the display settings. And then that's all here in our menu here. So that guy's a pretty good little radio. Does a lot of stuff. Having the backup cameras really gives you the ability to, with your mirrors and each of the cameras, it really helps eliminate blind spots as far as, backing and moving around. So that's pretty useful. Climate control, that's probably pretty straightforward as far as our fan temperature and where we want it. Then I have a recirculate button here that I can turn to just recirculate the air or turn on air conditioning through that blue switch there on the side. On our dash, I'm going to turn this down. On our dash, we have, a lot of our typical gauges and displays that we're used to having on vehicles. We have a couple of different ones here as far as air, and so this one and this one are telling our front and our rear air pressures. So when we do leveling, we drop the air out of the suspension and go down just to a little bit lower level. So we're off of our air ride, and then leveling will happen. Then when we get ready to travel, we need to allow that air in our suspension to fill up so that we get to our ride height and have a proper ride. So our gauges will always show that. And typically we're in the 120 some PSI range. So right now you can see that we are dropped down because you have your jacks down. But when we get to getting ready to travel, we're going to want that air to build up. And typically you can do that at an idle while you're sitting. We got a lot of buzzers going here. We can do that at an idle while we're sitting and just wait for that to go, and then we'll hear kind of the air pressure will blow off and know that we're filled up. Or we can bump our cruise up to put us at a little bit higher idle to get that to happen a little quicker. To do our cruise bump up, our idle, I can come over here to my cruise. I can turn my cruise on, And then basically using resume, I can tap and hold that in. Whoops, there's your little horn. And we can watch our RPMs, but I can bump that up. Get us into 11 or 12,000 RPM range. So now we're at a little bit higher idle. And then we're going to feel that, or see that air pressure building up. If you didn't wait and you just took off, you're gonna be fine. You're not gonna hurt anything, but you're not gonna be sitting on your air suspension. It's gonna take a while of you going down the road to build that up, and you'd probably feel it in your ride. You'd be kind of bumpy, and you'd be like, "Wow, what's going on?" And you can see here we're getting up to that higher pressure. Just in a minute here, we'll probably hear that blow off.
Can you open the shade?
There it went. Open the shade? Sure. Let me finish this here. So then we're at our higher elevation. Shade on this one is going to be over here. I'm just going to go and push and hold that up. Some of the other things on the dash. Of course, we have all of our little warning lights that could possibly come up. Our park brake indicator is there as well. On this center cluster, there are, it starts out with this pre-trip checklist. So it just always starts there. But using this little joystick over here on the side, there's this square knob here that looks like I can tap it over to the left, and that's going to bring me into my regular menu. So there we'll have our well, that's starting out there with our engine hours, generator hours, our mileage, our trip, those types of things will all be there, and we can use that joystick to go up and down through that menu to display the items that we'd like to look at that time. Of course, I can dim and brighten our dash up. Our headlights controls will be here. Battery boost. Battery boost switch is something that allows you to jump start yourself off of your house batteries. So if your chassis batteries happen to be dead, I could push and hold that in and jump start myself off of the house batteries. So then you can get her started up and running. I have this switch here labeled as front auxiliary. Front auxiliary are a couple of LED light strips outside that kind of accent lighting that you can turn on and have while you're parked. Windshield wiper controls are there. And of course, mirror controls. Exhaust brake. Exhaust brake is like maybe you're familiar with semis where they have this Jake brake or an exhaust brake that allows you to slow yourself down without having to use your brakes. So maybe when the exhaust brake is on, that you're cruising down the road and you let off the gas, the exhaust brake will provide back pressure and just slow you down. So that as you're coming to a town, maybe you just take your foot off the brake. You got it timed right, so you're hitting your 45, 55, you're coming down from 55, 30, 45, 35. It'll just help slow you down and help reduce your need for braking. Mirror heat. Each of these portions, top portions of the mirror have heat on them so that we can clean off frost or ice. And then we ran that solar shade already, our front shade. And that makes a good visor too. When the key's on, shade's only allowed to come down so far, so it won't block you out. But when the key is off, then you're allowed to run that shade all the way down like we had it before. But driving, you're getting some bad sunlight or something like that, we can run our shade down just a little bit, and it makes a great visor, so that'll work out good too. Your park brake or your for putting the unit into park, you can see on the gear selector we have reverse, neutral, and drive. So when we are ready to park, I will apply my foot on the brake, put the unit in neutral, and then this is our park brake. This yellow button here, pulled out. So when I have that pulled out, then my park brake is set, and we're ready to go. We get ready to travel. Of course, I put my foot on the brake, put it into my desired gear, and push that unit in, and then your park brake will be off. So that will be your park brake when that is applied all the way out. Our leveling, we can take a peek at our leveling system. Leveling system is controlled by this panel, and our jacks are down now. So I'm going to turn this panel on, and I'm going to tell it to retract all jacks, and then we'll talk about what's happening when we're doing that. So it's going to have a slight delay because it's putting some air into those bags, and then it's going to go ahead and bring our jacks up. While that's happening, you can see that we have yellow lights on that can be on the four corners. Those are showing us what is low. So right now, this panel is indicating to us that we're a little low in the front and we're a little low on the left-hand side. Our panel or our system we can level the unit manually. So in other words, we're in charge of positioning the unit, or I can simply hit this auto button and it will go and automatically level for us. So there are some advantages to each. Obviously in auto, we just push the button, walk away, and it does its job. In manual mode, we have the advantage of positioning the motorhome exactly the way we want it. Maybe it's raining and you want the rain to run off of this side versus that side. You could cheat it just a little bit lower over here so that happens. I have a few different benefits of that. So now I have no more jacks down light, no more of that annoying buzzing. We would now be ready to go ahead and travel. So I could turn the panel off and away we go. Our jacks are up. But we will start with leveling, and we're going to say that we just pulled in. So I'm going to turn that panel on, and I'm going to manually level us. So for us to go into manual, I'm going to push and hold that manual button until the light underneath of it turns on. Okay? And it's telling me wait, because it's dumping that air out of our suspension. So it's going to drop us back down again. And when that wait light goes away, we can then proceed to level. So when I push the right, or I push the left, or I push the front, or I push the rear, we are running those jacks in pairs so that we will move that side of the motorhome. So I see that it says that I'm mostly level front to back because I don't have a light on there, but that I am low on the left side. So what I would do in this situation is I'm going to run these jacks down until I feel them touch and lift us a little bit so that I know that they're down and bearing weight. So I'm just going to push and hold the front. Okay, now I'm going to do that same thing in the rear. So I know I'm down on my jacks. Okay, then I'm going to fix my side to side because we're good front to back. So we're a little low on the left, so I'm going to raise the left up. And well, we're just a little low in the front now. So I got a green light in the middle there, letting me know, hey, you're level. And then I could go ahead and turn that panel off, and we'd be good to go. And then, you know, the jacks can only go down so far. So there could be a time where, well, maybe we're too out of level, and we would need maybe some wood or some leveling blocks under there to buy us a little more space or travel distance to get that done. So having some of those things with you might be helpful. It's also maybe helpful to have, you know, a leveling block or a leveling pad or a chunk of wood to put your jacks down on if maybe the ground's soft and squishy, maybe it's been raining, and then we don't bury our jack pad down in the mud. We can get that out of there again if we have something to separate us between the mud and our jack. So those are some helpful things to bring with the guy too when you're out and about. Any of that make sense?
Good.
Good? Okay. We talked a little bit about the TV, but I think we'll cover TV as a whole when we get more into it. Just storage, and of course you had a little storage cubby in the back side as well. How about this guy? Did you get a chance to run that out?
Yeah,
you did that one? Okay, so you get that nice extra little work area there.
How do you disconnect the chair?
Yeah,
from
chair's
the mount?
the chair has this this retainer on it, so I can loosen up this bracket and I can rotate that around off of the chair, and now the chair can go anywhere you want it to. And you know, in all likelihood, you can travel with it non-restraint as well. It does, you know, it's pretty. It doesn't move around a lot back here, so it would probably stay put just fine. But we can always rotate that back over and clamp that down, and then you know the chair is not going to go anywhere. Biggest thing when we're driving is this kind of a thing, and you know, a lot of times I think it's kind of better just to have it scooched back up against that, and then it's not swiveling around and getting into the window or whatever and rubbing if it's got something that it's parked up against already. Oh, let's see what we got going in here. We got some storage area. They give you this little area down here where you can put your covers, and they give you that strap to go over it if you're wanting to leave them there while you travel, so they can have a home and not be tipping over. Cooktop. Flip that over. So our cooktop, I have an igniter that takes care of all three burners. So here I would pick my front one. I'd push it to turn it to light, and then give her a couple of clicks. You can hear it. And then when she's lit, then I can adjust my flame lower or higher, and then of course turn her off and let her cool down before I cover that back up. Microwave. We got a bunch of stuff in here, metal. Got a metal rack here. They got you a steamer that you can use for the microwave. So when we use this as a microwave, we need to have all the metal out. But when we use it as an oven, we can have metal in. So whether I use this top rack like this, or whether I set this rack on the turntable, it's a good idea to have our cookware up on one of these racks so that we're getting airflow all the way around the cookware. When I wanted to do that, use it as an oven, I would tell it that I want to be convection. Okay. Then there's an on-screen display that's really going to walk us through this whole thing. But I need to pick a temperature, and here it's saying it's got some presets that we could do. But we're putting it in manual convection bake. We'll select it, using the rack. It's reminding us of that. And then we can adjust this temperature up or down for whatever we want to cook at. And then I can select that. And then it's going to, when I push start, it's going to preheat, or I can enter in a cook time, and away I go. But I got plastic and bags in there. I'm going to clear that out. So as a rule of thumb, on the using this as an oven, we can reduce the time or the temperature by about 25%. So we can either do it a little bit quicker, or we can do it at a little bit lower temperature from a regular recipe that you're used to using in a regular oven. And that should get you right in the ballpark of where you need to be. So reduce time or reduce the temperature by 25%. Okay. Get that. Okay, so in a minute we're going to go back and look at that dish drawer. These are a few of the spare parts from that dish drawer, and they give you some detergent there, the manual. There's a couple extra little racks that a guy can have for silverware or whatnot in there. That's parts of that. And it's your stuff. And your stuff. And your stuff. And you got the Safety Plus. So that's the manuals for that. Travis got that put on the other day. So we went out and did the test driving and made sure it wasn't pulling to the side, and all those procedures that are in here for your steering. This is a large wrench that helps take off the wheel covers outside. So this would go on that center hub, and we would use that to get our wheel covers off if we needed to. And it looks like an extra manual for a radio. So it's got some of those things tucked in there. We already peeked in there, there wasn't anything. So we can peek at refrigerator. Refrigerator has its controls up here underneath, so I can just turn it cooler or higher, or all the way over to off. So maybe you're going to have it plugged in, but you don't want the refrigerator working. You could just turn it off and park it there. This refrigerator has this travel knob, which I got in there, so that, and I'll open this up so we can see better. But if we're getting ready to travel, maybe we've had experience with this door flopping open, I could just run that thumb screw into there, and then that's going to retain both our freezer and our refrigerator door and keep it closed when you're going down the road. So we have that little device that can help with that. Of course, your ice maker's up here. If we want to turn the ice maker off, I can just lift and leave that baler up, and then it won't make ice for us. But in the down position, then it'll go and make ice. There we go. Well, Travis got your dish drawer installed back here in the washer dryer prep area, so he was able to use the drainage and the water supply system for that, and that manual and stuff are up there. But when I'm ready, I can power up the unit, and that's going to allow me to open up the drawer. And inside the drawer I have my mode button, basically, so I can just move this light around to the different things: heavy, normal, fast, delicate, or just a rinse. Then I have an economy button here that will help me conserve some water, so it would use a little bit lower water amount when we do that. But when I make my adjustments up here, it's changing the amount of time basically that it's going to run on the cycle. So once I got my setting, then I'm all loaded up, and I got my detergent and stuff in the little hopper there. I go ahead and I can close it, and then when I push what's kind of like the play button here on this control panel, I can start to load, and then it will indicate to me there how much time I have left. And then when this guy is off, we're all said and done. So he's got that all accessible there. And otherwise, the rest of it's adjustable shelving. Well, we're going to have a thermostat up front there for that part of the unit. But here I have a thermostat for air conditioning in the bedroom. So this unit here is separate and it's on its own thermostat. So I can either turn that air conditioner on or off. My fan can be high or low. And the fan mode, I can have it turn on with the air conditioner, or I can turn on to just always be circulating air. And then I can adjust that temperature of my desired setting here up front with those up or down arrows. Our front thermometer is going to be very similar, other than it's going to be controlling the front air conditioning, and then that thermostat also controls the heat. This one's just doing air conditioning for the bedroom. Okay, rear TV has a prep area here for it. If we wanted to have a satellite receiver back here, why I have a satellite feed brought back from the roof antenna. But I also have an HDMI feed here that's already pre-wired to the TV. So again, if there's something else that you wanted to add or hook up to this TV, there's already a pre-wired HDMI route there, so that we can just set something here and feed it to the TV. Big giant back door storage area. There is an access panel here, and we're going to have one on each of the sides of the closet. So back here we are over the engine, and there's a cover that goes back there, and then I have this hatch in the floor. So like for instance, the engine needed an overhaul or some work that we couldn't get to from outside, we need to get to the top of the engine. These panels would come off, and Freightliner or those mechanics would then work and be able to have access to those parts of the engine through these hatches without having to drop it and take it out. So that's what all these little access panels are for getting into those things. I think Travis put the extra, I think there's probably an extra shelf for that pantry here. So you can add another shelf in there if you wanted to, but that's, I think, a shelf that he took out for the dish drawer. We have no storage under the bed, but I'm just going to lift this up to show you that the bed, the platform part stays put, but the bed moves back in and out when we move that room. So things on the floor are okay, and won't be interfered with the room running. But when the bed comes in, that's our height of what we would need to be below.
So you can't put anything in there?
Not really, no. Maybe if a guy was gonna maybe put a safe in or something like that, something that you would screw to the floor, maybe we could find an out of the way place. But when the bed mechanism moves and the slide out, then it all comes in and rides on top of all of this. So it would not really be a great place for any storage, no. Also, under here, I'm just going to keep this bed up. We have a panel we can take off, and that gets us to our breakers. So in this side, I have our 110 breakers, and so those are all over here as far as our all of our AC power distribution. And then on this side I have 12 volt power distribution, so these are 12 volt breakers, and if these guys happen to be tripped, that white center part would poke out and I would simply push that in to reset it. Set this big heavy bed down. You're already using one of the 12 volt outlets.
Yep.
It worked out good. So I probably found most of them. We had that one. Was there one in the bathroom? Yeah, there's one in the bathroom. Did you find that one?
Yeah.
I put that in the cabinet. And then, of course, there was there 4?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Yep. We got them all.
And then the one outside.
Yes, and the one of them was outside. That closes off nicely, and then when it's back, it secures itself up there. Bathroom area. So you found that guy in there. Toilet operation. We have a foot pedal here. Foot pedal here on the side, so partially down is going to run us some water. So, you know, at times we're going to want more water in the bowl, so I can raise that water level up. And then all the way down is going to run the water, and then of course flush it. So that pedal will do both of those jobs. And you have that little toilet sprayer there on the back side. We could use that to rinse out or clean the bowl. That's going to have water pressure at it only while I have this pedal down. So I already have to have water running in the toilet for it to get water. Our bathroom exhaust fan here. I can turn that on or off from here, and I can crank it up. And it has a fan switch here on the side as well. So if I crank this guy up, turn the fan on here, or I have an on-off switch here on the side that kills the power to the fan itself.
Can the fan blow in both directions, up or down?
This one does not reverse.
Just exhaust?
Just exhaust, right. And then fan off, or I could have used that switch there. Let's see. Shower. So it has its travel latch with that big guy there. On the end of the face of the shower head, I can use this to pause the water flow if I push that up. So that'll help us in conserving some of our water, or we can just pause it. Then, at our monitor panel, we got a lot of stuff going on here. So at the top, this guy is labeled as engine heater. And if we are concerned about cold weather starting, I can turn this on, and then this is kind of like a block heater. So from shore power, it is just heating up that engine to allow us to start easier in some sub-zero temperatures. So that's the block heater. Water heater has a control here. So this would be for the electric element of our water heater, and this green one would be control of the gas or the propane side of our water heater. So you already have that one on, and then we're heating our water from shore power. Otherwise, I can turn this on, and this will allow us to heat our water off of our propane. If for some reason the water heater didn't light, there's a little red light underneath here that can turn on, and it would tell us, hey, you told me to be on, I tried, but I didn't light. And so then I would usually turn it off, turn it back on again, and give it another attempt of lighting. So either maybe we're out of propane, or the propane's turned off, or there's some other problem that would let us know that it didn't light and it couldn't. So our thermostat, and we talked about this running the front part for air conditioning. And so air conditioning would be the same as in the rear. I got it set to air conditioning, and we did our business. This one has an option for electric heat. So this air conditioner up front can reverse its heat pump and give us heat the same way that we're getting air conditioning now. We'll get it from being plugged in on shore power. We'll get heat from the ceiling through our air ducts. Electric heat is allowed to operate down to about 40 degrees. Once it's 40 degrees and cooler out, electric heat won't be an option, so then we'll just stay on our gas furnace. Gas furnace, labeled here as gas heat, that's again heat for the entire motorhome. When I put it on gas heat, I then am consuming our propane, and that's delivering heat down low at our floor registers and being pumped into our wet compartments outside as well. So like the water compartment, we'll have some heat from the furnace there. And then again, we set our temperature with our arrows up above. Test levels, we can see how our condition is. By holding that up, I can see that my black water tank is empty, my gray tank is empty, your freshwater tank is still full, your propane tank is full, and our batteries are sitting in good shape at full as well. So that'll show us those. Water pump has a switch here. Water pump also has a switch in the bathroom. And there's also going to be a switch outside. And it doesn't matter where we turn that on or turn it off. We're still controlling the one pump, but we can do it at different locations. So maybe you happen to be outside and the water pump isn't on, or we can turn it on out there and have access to our water. This panel here will always show us the green light if the pump is on. So we'll use the pump anytime we want to tank water out of our freshwater tank and have water pressure. If you're hooked up with the garden hose outside and getting water from the campground or your house, well then we don't have to have the water pump on, because that's giving us our water pressure through that. This system here, the energy management or a power line system, I'll push the button here to wake it up a little bit. So its job is to see what kind of power we have, so it knows that we're plugged into 50 amp service today, and then it has the ability of shutting or turning off loads to keep us from going over that amount of power. So right now today it says there are 0 load shed, and then it has a list of items that it can turn off: that engine heater, the water heater, the rear air conditioner, the front air conditioner, the washer and dryer. Those are things that it can turn off to keep you from going over your provided power, so you don't trip the breaker. So it does that automatically, turns them off, turns them back on once your situation improves. About the only time, and then here it shows us how we're doing on our power consumption. So we can see we're using 12 amps of our 50, so we're sitting pretty good. About the only time that you would have to do anything is if you are plugged in to a reduced power situation of like 20 amps. So you just plugged into someone's garage, just a regular wall outlet. Then I would have an option here using a button for select to select between 30 and 20. And then we would need to select that 20 mode to keep us and manage us at that level. Otherwise, in a 50 amp or in a 30 amp environment, this will automatically do that. You just need to tell it, hey, I only have 20 amps. And then you would select 20 amps at that point. Generator has controls here, so I can start and stop the generator from here. Generator has different mode setting as well. So here we are in manual mode, but I can tell it to go into an auto mode. So I push this button and it's asking me to put enter for auto, and now it says auto on. In auto mode, generator is going to start itself when it needs to, based on a couple of criteria. So in other words, maybe you're out dry camping and your batteries get low. So at a predetermined point, generator says that my batteries are low, I need to start up and do battery charging. So it's going to start itself up, get your batteries charged up, so it's probably going to run for like an hour, and then it would turn itself off, and then just keep monitoring. It'd also do that if we've had a call for power. So like right now we're plugged in, we're running our air conditioner, and somebody went over and just flipped the breaker. So we've had this demand for power, and we've lost shore power. It can then go ahead and turn itself on until we get our shore power back again. So that's auto. I can then also put it into quiet on. Now quiet mode is auto mode, except it won't do it basically at night. So like from 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. It wouldn't do that. So it's kind of following some campground, typical campground rules. And then I can go back here and have it in manual mode again. Generator is something that we should use, otherwise we will lose. So generator should be run, the book's going to tell you that it should run for a couple hours a month, and then part of that, half of that time, we should have it working hard. So we should have it, the air conditioner running or something like that, so that it can carry a good load. So generator is going to have thousands and thousands of hours of operation. You'll never ever wear it out unless you don't use it. So that's the biggest thing there. I can also go through this screen and I can see it's got a countdown for service. So when, for instance here, we get to that first service at what would be 50 hours, the generator is going to need service. And then after that, we're going to go to a longer interval on hours. But it's still a good thing to do at least once a year. So if maybe you're not getting 100 hours in or whatever it is, but in the calendar, then it's still a good thing to do that every 12 months. Or based on this recommendation here of how many hours it's ran. And that service is basically going to be just dropping the oil, replacing the oil filter, and giving her some fresh fluid. Okay. Inverter is this guy down here. It on this screen right now is telling us that kind of as a battery charger. The batteries are at a full charge. So some other things that it might say there would be bulk charge. So then it says, hey, your batteries were low. I'm operating as a pretty heavy charge and getting them charged up. It might say float, kind of the mode we're in now. Batteries are fully charged. We're just kind of watching and maintaining those batteries. So the inverter is your battery charger, and that's the screen we're looking at. It is also going to, I just turned it on, so I got that little green light. It is also going to provide us power to most of our outlets off of our batteries when we're going down the road. So the biggest thing here for you is you have a residential refrigerator, and so then when we get ready to travel, we need to have our inverter on so that our refrigerator is being powered up. And so we can do that by pushing and holding this on. We're going to get that green light, and never hurts to pop open the door and see if the refrigerator light's on. Then you know for sure you got that power, so that'd be a good test as well. So going down the road, not plugged in, we'll need the inverter on to power up the refrigerator. Fan, a whole bunch of other light switches, but about the same thing here is this fan, doing the same business there. I can crank it up, I can run my fan, I can turn it on and off from there, but that'll be our business there. Where are we getting this water from? Last night I got water out there. Well, take a peek at that. I haven't heard the water pump run, so I don't know where that water would be coming from. Take a peek at it.
Okay.
Dinette area. It's easier to get this cushion up out of the way, and you found that already. Good spot for some extra storage. You also got your 12-volt outlet back there. So you got a good spot for that. That one's going to have a similar feature. Cushion up allows that to stay. Dinette, we want to make this into a bed. I can rotate this lever down. Go ahead and I can go ahead and push that down until it goes and sits on these wood cleats here, and then these two backrest cushions would then fill in that open gap, and then you'd have that for an extra bed. Sofa can make out to a bed as well. I just reached in there and rolled that out, and then the back portion of it, simply flip down and go to a bed. Pretty quick and easy. Of course, there's some lap belts down there for seat belts if a person needs those. Business there. Oh, let's see, I don't think there's a whole lot of stuff going on up here other than in this very corner. There is this button here. There's a little button here that turns that green light on or off, and this is our booster for our antenna. So with this on, it then powers up our roof antenna, which is right back there. When we want to watch TV over the air, I need to have that on, so I got that turned on. Then we can go back to that antenna and we can adjust that. So this antenna is a fixed height antenna, so we don't have to go up or down, but I can still turn it directionally, side to side. I have an opportunity for 4 blue lights here. That just kind of gives me hey, this is about your best shot of TV reception, the more blue lights I have on there. There is an on-off switch here on the side that simply turns those blue lights on or off, so that the antenna is still doing its job, but maybe you're watching TV at night and you don't want those blue lights on. We can turn that off, not have the blue lights going, and still have the antenna. So we already have 3 blue lights, so that's pretty good for here. And you can turn that TV on. Did you learn the channels last night when you got here? You figured they already had it ready for you, or you didn't watch TV?
No.
Okay. So I will go into here, source, and I need to choose TV as my source. So we'll will choose TV as the source. Okay. Then I will go into menu. And in menu, we got to go down till the little antenna signal. And here, I have a choice between air, or I can choose cable TV. So if you've hooked up the cable TV at a campground or at your house, I would select cable. But I want air, so I'm going to hit air. Then I'm going to go down to auto program. So I will hit OK, and I want it to search air. So then it's going to go, and now it'll go find all those channels that are available to us at our current location. And that will work the same for that rear TV. We'll go ahead and we'll learn those channels. And when we're done, that'll be all the channels we have. And so we need to do that each time we move somewhere. And it can make a difference too. Cloudy day versus a more sunny day the next day. Maybe we go again and have the ability to find some more channels from where we are. It looks like it's already found 6 of them for us today, so that's pretty good. So on the TV and the input, obviously we have the DVD player or whatever from HDMI or those AV cables up there. If there's other things that we've fed to it, we can select off of that source or that input. Did you use it? You already got that figured out. Okay. And it had that remote there. You got your movie in there. So here it says we got 6 channels memorized. Let's get out of that. Exit. Now some channels that we might find are like this one. It's just an audio channel, so it just had sound on it. Let's try to get to it. So this channel's a little funky. So by little changes here, we could probably make some big differences and getting that tuned in a little more, like we used to do with rabbit ears. Or not. It just kind of was there and gone. Too impressed with that. I don't even know what that channel is. I've never really seen it before. I'll let it scan again while we're looking at some other stuff. Let's see, we talked about the sound bar already. Talked about DVD player. Slide out rooms. So for us to move our rooms, we need to first of all have our key on. So the engine needs to be running or have that key into the on position. Then I'm going to have controls, 2 controls up here for these 2 slide out rooms, and then there was one in the back for that bedroom slide out. So here, let's do the big room. I gotta make sure I'm not gonna hit this chair. Then I will push and hold the in button. And the room just knows when it's in, so I'm still holding the button, so it's better to hold it just a little bit longer than not long enough and not fully seal up. Okay. And then I do the same for this room, and then the control for the bedroom slide out is up on the top corner of the wall up there, just before the bedroom. Same thing, getting ready to go back out, but we might as well put these rooms in, then when we're outside we don't have to be ducking under these rooms. So we'll bring this guy in. Bring the one in the bedroom in. Okay, I'm going to turn this key off so we don't have to listen to that beep. Let's probably look at all this stuff here in the step well. We got a lot of switches and stuff right in here and in the doorway. Coach light, that's going to give us our first set of lights right when we come in. Compartment light. With this on, then our compartment lights can be turned on or off. But if you're thinking, oh, what if I left one on? Why, with this off, no compartment light can be on then. And we'll go outside and we'll run that awning out. But when we do that, I need to have this on so the awning has power. And then I have one for my door awning and one for my patio awning. Those are simply an in and out button. And then the awning light can be on here, and we'll run that when our awning is out. And our porch light, we have a little light right outside the door here that can be on for our porch light. I'm going to have a button here, and I'm going to have a button outside in that rear compartment that if I'm set up to do leveling like I did before from the driver's seat, I can be ready to go there, and then I can come and push here for level or store. So I can do an auto level, or I can retract those jacks from here, as well as that other button in the far back corner. I have disconnects for my chassis batteries and my coach battery here on these two switches. So when I'm using the unit, I need to make sure that I have these on, but when I'm not using the unit, I can put it away, I can hit these to off, and then both of those sets of batteries are disconnected just like they're not there. So then we don't have to worry about it, anything being on or battery draining down and that sort of thing. The middle switch is for the step, our entry step here. And so in the off position like it is now, whenever I close the door, the entry step is going to stay out. But if I put it into the on position, then every single time I close the door, the step is also going to come in. But in either position, on or off, the entry step will always come in when you go to drive. So we typically leave it in the off position, then it's not running 100 times a day. We don't have to wait for it when we want to go out and that sort of thing. But the step will always come in when you go to drive. This switch here is for the step cover. passenger, while we're traveling, the passenger has a footrest area to be in, and we have some of that there.
Is it strong enough to walk on?
Yep, we can come on here and stand on it, no problem. And then I think this is just a light here above the passengers. Well, should we come out and we can put those awnings out and we can